What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Thursday. Today,
that was kind of scary.
What? The way I started that? I'm just trying to mix it up, because we're trying to mix up what we're talking about as we are in month 3 of the Damian Lillard trade saga, Eric. So, it's starting to get a little bit scary because it's September, and I expected it to wait till September, but it's already September 7th, which, how is it already September 7th? Football started today, so didn't we have a conversation, two months ago? A month ago? Dude, I don't even know time. We had a conversation a month ago. It was me and somebody else. I don't know if it was you on air or what, but I had a conversation, and we were talking about what happens first. The NFL season starts or Dame gets traded? And we got our answer today.
Yeah.
The NFL season started. There was a flurry of moves in the past couple of days. Christian Wood signed. PJ Washington signed. Danny Green signed. He's still an NBA player, which was a little surprising. But it was okay, these GMs are back from vacation, right? August was vacation month, as I said. And now, if something's going to happen before training camp, I would expect it to happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Because that's really all they have. They got, a month till training camp? 3 weeks? I don't even know, man. Anyway, Eric, we're going to talk about something that I didn't expect us to talk about. But there was reporting today from Adrian Wojnarowski that we're going to touch a little bit upon regarding Damian Lillard maybe suiting up for the Portland Trail Blazers next year, which I would still be shocked if that happens, but at this point, you have to admit it's a possibility. So we're going to talk about that. What would a starting lineup look like? How would that team function? Should we just screw it and play the smallest lineup in NBA history? We're going to touch upon all that. We're going to get chat's feedback because I'm curious who chat would start if Dame's suiting up for the Blazers next year, and how would you guys feel about that? Because I think it would be a circus. But you know what? As YouTubers, circuses can be kind of fun to cover. Before we jump into things, Eric, nice shirt.
Thanks. Meant to wear it on Monday, but I forgot it at home when I streamed at the store. But had to break it out today.
Chat, should Eric make Hawaii shirts a regular thing?
Like I was telling you before, I don't have enough to make that a thing.
Chat, do we need to start a GoFundMe for Hawaiian shirts for Eric?
Should have been before I went. I could have gotten a bunch of them.
I know, yeah. Want one of every color. I told him he should wear a Hawaiian shirt when the Blazers win next year because I still expect Dame to get traded and I don't expect them to win much next year, so it wouldn't have to be that many, but is that your only Hawaiian shirt?
I have one I've been to Hawaii twice now. I went 25 years ago. I have one, but I don't think it fits anymore. It's too small.
Energy Warning says you need a red and white one. I agree.
Yeah. I don't think my wife would like it if I became Hawaiian shirt guy. She's not the biggest fan.
You might as well go out, those flower necklaces,
Lays.
Yeah, lays. I was just reading chat, David Yu, that's his suggestion.
Or puka shells.
We went from robe Tory to tropical Eric. I still haven't found that robe, by the way. I don't know what happened to it. It's gone forever, chat. I also, miraculously, I've gotten 2 Blazers Uprise branded sweatshirts and lost to both. Somehow. And neither of them were in the Goodwill travesty that happened to me a couple months ago where 2/3 of my clothes got accidentally taken to Goodwill. If you weren't there for that story, you missed out. That's why you got to watch every stream, every second of every stream, or else you might miss terrific stories about how I get screwed by having my clothes accidentally donated to Goodwill. But I've moved on. Hopefully somebody is out there enjoying some, those clothes are definitely worth millions of dollars because I wore them, but nobody will ever know. So, hopefully somebody is enjoying their valuable commodity. I don't know. But I got new clothes now, so maybe I should build out my Hawaiian shirt wardrobe. Maybe I should join Eric. I was rocking the cutoffs for a week and a half, feeling like Pat McAfee, but
where's your tank tops?
Yeah, well, I got a couple, but I got a Hawaii tank top too. Here, I'll show it. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
You lost the sweater that looks like a robe?
The sweater that looks like a robe? No, I think I still have.
You still have that one? So you can just wear that and say it's a robe.
Yeah, I got my closet right here. Nope. Not here. I think I have it No, I think that got donated.
No.
No, I need to get another one of those. So, Tori, do you wear jorts? No, I don't wear jorts. Anyway, I should be joining Eric and rocking this. Yeah, it's a pineapple.
Nice.
And arguably the best fruit. Depends on the mood, of course, but you know, I love some good pineapple. Juice out of the can is the best. So, anyway, Eric, where do you want to go with this stream? Because you know, we're starting a little early, which is going a little bit off the rails. But chat, okay. Well, I forgot. How could I forget? How inconsiderate of me. I did not ask chat what they accomplished today. So, chat, what did you guys accomplish today? Eric, what'd you accomplish today?
Well, today was the final day I had to get all my everything out of my previous store and clear it all out. So, kind of a sad day for me.
Yeah, I feel for you, man. Yeah. Hopefully, you know, everything goes well with moving on from that. I know that's tough, so.
Rip City Raiders has got out of the hospital. Hope you're okay.
Well, congrats, I guess, but what happened? You don't have to share. But glad you're okay. Woo the Ruler went to the gym today, and he said it in all caps, so I assume that's like a big accomplishment. Just kidding. That's good. I went to the gym today too. I played Rec League, and I was just not good because my legs quit on me. So, I had trouble running today. My knees are sore. I am so sore. Kind of sucks. So, yeah, I'm on the road to recovery the next 3 or 4 days. I'm not going to do anything. Anyway, glad some of you accomplished some things. That's great. Eric, let's talk about basketball.
Yeah.
You want to talk about basketball? You want to talk about the Blazers?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, the people that keep bringing up the Seattle tryouts for you to go to, they just had tryouts here in town. Tori basically lives, you know, a few minutes away from Portland, so he's not going to drive 3 or 4 hours to to Seattle to try out when he could have
just to try out and then what? Drive back?
I know they've canceled registration for the one here because it's full, but yeah.
Yeah, I am not in good enough shape. My knees aren't in good enough shape. It would not be for me right now. Maybe next year if they do it again, but driving 3 hours just to spend $300 to maybe get wrecked on a basketball court for a couple hours where it's a tryout where probably nobody makes the team, and then driving 3 hours home just doesn't really sound like a fun time to me. Maybe if we had bullet trains, but that is supposedly in the works, but a long ways off. So, yeah, not gonna happen. But, dude, the whole bullet train thing from, like, Portland to Seattle just has me dreaming of a day where I can go to a Sonics Blazers game in Seattle by just taking the train 30 minutes north, because you know I'm scared of flying, which I'm gonna fix that. I gotta fix that. But
that'd be cool.
Bullet train to a Sonics game would be an experience. So try out for GM of the remix. I'd have a better chance of that than making the actual team.
Germ asked if you saw I know you did, but for everyone else, the supposed leak of the Blazer court on 2K.
Yeah, let me get a picture of that, and I'll show people. Shout out to Kevin. And this, 2K's been right in the past with leaking courts. Okay, so I truly believe this is going to be our court next year. I'm just going to steal this from Kevin's Twitter. He doesn't watch us, unfortunately. We're cool with him, but he doesn't watch us.
No, he does. He watches it later at 2 times speed or something.
Oh, yeah, he's one of the 2 speeders, which I don't know how to feel about that, but, you know, at least he watches us. Kevin, type a comment if you're in the watch after the stream crew. Anyway, KY_PDX is where I first saw this tweet. And by the way, if you go to his Twitter, you'll see a bunch of clips of, blown Mario Hezonja layups. So that was funny to watch today. Yeah, Yeah, I'm literally watching one right now. Hook shot off the underside of the rim. Oh my goodness, I'm having deja vu. It is very nostalgic. If you guys were with us year one, you remember how much I raged about Mario Hazonia. Oh my goodness. Okay, I need to focus. I need to focus.
Adam's calling out Kyle. It's not here. It's not like the GC where Kyle's for sure going to see it.
Yeah. That's cool. Adam's here, though. That's cool. All right. Let me toss this image up for you guys. And let me, fit it to the screen. There you go. So this is apparently the Blazers court next year. So you know the lines that they had on the sideline? They said, screw it, let's put it in the paint.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
What are your thoughts?
I don't think it's, awesome or anything, but I think it'd be cool to mix it up with that. I kind of like it. It's different.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to be boring like they've been the last few years. It still makes me mad they didn't have a alternate court for their jersey, the PDX jerseys last year. They missed the ultimate possibility there.
There's one thing specifically I don't like. I hate the text at the end of the baseline. I think it needs to be in the middle of the baseline. I know it kind of makes sense with the way this is designed, but that I'm not a huge fan of that. This court is okay. It's unique, so I'll give props for that. It's kind of weird. Next year, are we going to be saying, Nurk, go to the rim, follow the striped lines?
If you're not near one of the striped lines, don't shoot it.
We're going to use it as a reference, That's going to be a new part of the court, Eric. The striped lines. Anyway, chat. I'll do a chat poll. What do you guys think of that court? I'll do grade the court. I'll do A, B, C, D, and no, I'll do A, B, C, and then D/F because I'm only allowed to do 4 options. There you go. Curious to see. If you had to grade it, Eric, what's your grade?
I'd say it's a B. It's not earth-shattering, but I kind of dig it.
It's like the definition of average to me.
So C.
C, the definition of average. In between a B and a C, I feel like is the definition of just average. So, B minus.
Yeah.
Tori, there's only one option. D for Dame. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we wanted the court to get leaked in 2K so Dame could see it and, want to play on it regularly. Yeah. Most of you guys rated it a B. No surprise there. 29% C, 16% A, 8% D or F. If you are in the D or F crew, let me know why you're in the D or F crew. Why do you hate this court? If you're in the A crew, why do you love it? Give me your thoughts in the live chat. Also, hit the like button. We're at 22 likes. We got 121 of you in here. So, only about, quick math, a sixth of you have hit the like button. That hurts. So, help us out. Hit the like. Sympathy like for me. Anyway, and the chat poll. Thank you to everyone who voted. Very Messy and Plain says, Colt says this is garbage. I do kind of see your point. It's like, if you could have something that's messy and kind of plain at the same time, that would be it. But also, the key, I don't know. This isn't that plain compared to other courts. I think if the text was in the middle of the baseline, it'd look better. But obviously, they have the paint color change there. You know what's weird? Where it cuts off on the baseline is not in the same spot on each baseline.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little interesting. I don't know. It's a court.
Some of the details might not be exact.
Do you guys like this court or the 50th anniversary court more? Because I was on the record of just not enjoying the 50th. I did not like the 50th
that was very... If we're talking about, simplistic, plain, that was about as plain as you could get, but it was fun for me because, I'm old.
White key on, a light hardwood barely looks like it's even painted to me. Yeah, I don't know. I get it for the nostalgia factor. I didn't have that nostalgia. I kind of miss some of the older courts from, like Young and Dame's age, and when they had like the red down the side and the red at the top. I thought that might have been my favorite Blazer court. I don't know why. I just thought that was super clean. But now the teams don't really paint the sides anymore, so.
I don't think a lot of younger people liked the 50 court. 50th anniversary.
I just thought they should have brought it out for throwback days and then had a different court and just make it like for something.
Well, we know they don't really want to spend the money on having 2 courts, I guess.
Yeah, it's not the only time I've criticized them for that. So the lines make me think of the Raptors. Yeah, and the Raptors, don't they have the text at the side of the baseline too? Yeah, it does kind of give me Raptors vibes, but just as long as the product on the court is fun to watch, that's what we care about, right? So, I mean, fun has many different definitions, Eric. Fun because they're good, fun because they're a train wreck, fun because they're tied for the youngest team in the league, as I saw on Twitter today with the Charlotte Hornets. Fun because Dame's out there and he's deciding to shoot half-court shots for half the game because he wants to get traded, but maybe can't. And that's a perfect segue into our next topic. I hope Steven will be proud of that segue because he's the king of segues. So there's reporting today by Edward Wojnarowski. It was just kind of what we already know. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but just like, to paraphrase, there isn't another team that's coming in over the top of Miami right now, and this could last into the season. And there's also been reporting that Dame would play. Is there anything I need to add, chat or Eric?
Yeah, apparently on the longer version, he says that Portland's willing to play him 20 to 25 games until they get the right package. But
my question for that is, if they're not getting the right package after 20 to 25 games, then what?
I don't know. And I also would love to know behind the scenes if Dame is just going to be cool with that, or what he would think about that if you asked him truthfully,
Yeah, so, guys, what we're going to talk about today is what happens if Dame plays. Who the hell starts? What do we do? Because it's so funny how people say, Cronin wanted to build a winner, he just didn't have a pick, didn't have a trade for the third pick. Well, there's a lot of other moves to be made. I was looking at what the lineup should be today, and I tweeted out on my Twitter. If you don't follow me, at ToryJonesYT, my name is spelled Torey, because I know a lot of people have trouble with it. Eric is at HoopsJock, plural hoops and a jock. So go follow us on Twitter. I think we're linked in the description box below. Yeah, we are. Go follow us on Twitter. I tweeted out my lineup if Dame comes back and plays. And I'm curious, chat, what your guys' lineup would be. Eric, if Dame comes back and plays, who's your starting 5? And, how do the minutes break down with them and then the guys off the bench?
Could we just play Dame 15 minutes a game? And is that an option? No.
What would you do? I mean...
if Dame's playing and they're playing him normal minutes and, it's he's part of the team... I think you... Okay, so there's two ways of looking at it in my mind. One, are you trying to win as many games as possible to convince him to stay? If we get off to a good start like last year, does that start to weigh on him? Maybe this team could work, is that the goal of playing him? And if that's the case, I think you got to start. Man, you were telling me you were cramping before the stream. I just had a huge cramp. Oh, man.
I literally just sat back in my chair to straighten my leg against the wall to stretch.
Yeah. Sorry about that. But if that's the case, if they're trying to, okay, Dame's a part of this team and we're going to show him we're going to win. I think you start him, Ant, Dival, Grant, and Nurk, and just have like the best, youngest, brightest, futurist bench in the league. And that doesn't leave a lot of minutes for Scoot, especially if he doesn't play many at the 2. But I would just roll with a Scoot Sharp bench and just let them play. It's just I want to give Scoot the reins, so it's tough for me to say that.
Yeah, so so you said if. Like, I'm wondering what you would hope for.
Well,
like if he plays.
For me, I mean, if he's insists on playing or whatever and won't sit out, honestly, I might bring him off the bench. I know that sounds really stupid, but I might just play how you want to play and just let Dame be the backup point guard, and you can let him play, 15, 20 minutes a game or whatever. But I've turned the page. Unless they're gonna trade some of this youth for a win now player, like if Embiid or Giannis becomes available, like that's their ultimate goal. Unless that was the case, which we know that isn't. But short of that, I'm already of the opinion that any Dame minutes are just eating into development of our backcourt. So I want to give him the reins right away, and so I'd probably just bring Dame off the bench and make sure he doesn't get hurt, because lost in that fast start last year, Dame did get hurt twice, came back and then got hurt again. So yeah, I don't know. You risk that a lot, blowing up a trade, even getting a decent package from Miami if he gets hurt and you're playing in major minutes.
Well, I think you risk getting back less if you don't play a major minutes. That's kind of a catch-22 for me.
You're kind of saving him for whatever team he's traded to.
Yes, but it's not going to help his trade value. It's not. It just makes Portland look like they're completely stuck. It's not going to be able to help any sort of leverage. Maybe team gets into a position and it works out. If you're playing Dame less minutes, it's literally every single game is going to be awkward because of it.
Yeah.
For the players and him, right? If you go out there and play him normal, it might be a little bit awkward, but it's not as obvious, It's like, okay, we're going out there like Dame's playing, like these guys were playing to win basketball games. If you're playing them off the bench for 15 minutes, I don't like starting off Scoot Henderson's career with that sort of thing that would linger from game to game because it's the best player in franchise history and he's coming off the bench and playing 50 minutes a game. Like, it's just weird, right? Like, yeah. Like if the team wants to do that, they need to just not let him play and incur whatever fines that come from it. You know what I mean? Like, if he's gonna play in a Blazer uniform next year, I think he almost has to start and play big minutes so it's not some lingering thing on a nightly basis. But then also, I don't know what happens to his trade value if he's sitting here averaging, 13 points per game, doesn't have a rhythm, so is maybe shooting the ball bad because he's only playing 15 minutes a game. Like, it might not affect it at all, but the only way it can go from that sort of scenario is down.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think teams know what Dame is. Like someone in the chat said, let him get 50 burgers. Well, I mean, he did that last year. He had 71, a couple games of 60, multiple games of 50. Like, he did that last year, and so that didn't necessarily help. I think a team like Miami or a lot of teams would appreciate him not getting run into the ground for their playoff push later in the season.
I just think, like, his heart's not going to be in it.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to build a rhythm. I don't think he looks as good next year. And he is 33. I think there's a legitimate chance that if that was the case, any potential extra suitor would get scared off. Whereas, like, if you're playing him 34 minutes a game and he's doing what he did last year, then you might get that extra suitor just by doing that and waiting until the deadline. right? Like, that's the reason for him playing, is hoping another team comes in, because it's not like Miami will ever be able to offer more than they could offer right now, unless they throw in Orlando Robinson, which, are we really going through all this to get Orlando Robinson when we could have got him multiple times last year because the Heat cut and waived him and signed him and waived him and went back and forth? Like, if we're doing all this for Orlando Robinson when the Blazers could have had him last year, when I was asking them to get him last year, then that just pisses me off.
It's incompetent GMing if that's what we're waiting for, yeah.
Yeah, like, there's no way, right? But then again, I wouldn't rule it out with this organization.
Right, yeah.
I say there's no way, but I don't think that really applies to this organization anymore. I just think you have to start him and play him, in my opinion, and that obviously creates problems, too, just with who doesn't start then.
I think the only way his trade value is lessened is by getting hurt, so... But, I mean, the Nets played Kevin Durant last year. He got hurt. They still traded him, and then he got hurt again. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't really like the idea of it, but I guess, I mean, if you're really serious about it, the only way I see it working is you play Scoot, Dame, and Ant all 32 minutes a game, and you play Sharp would have to play all his minutes at the 3. So
I have a lineup that I was going to throw up on the screen. Yeah. So something like this. Something like what? Did you read my tweet? I have it up on the screen now.
Yeah, I read it.
So, okay. Can I run through this real quick?
Mm-hmm.
So, if Dame plays next year, I think you have to go with something like this. I think you have to start Scoot. I think you have, you have to prioritize Scoot from the jump.
I mean, you can't do that with Dame, in my opinion. I've said that all along.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this, half of his minutes can come without Dame. You don't have to play Dame 36, 37 minutes a game, right? Like, this is, a little bit more than half of minutes come with Dame, but I think it's fine. We've disagreed on this. Like, I think him learning how to play a bit off of a star player like that is only going to be a good thing long term, because he's probably not going to single-handedly ever carry a team to a championship like Giannis. So having another star learn how to play off the ball a little bit, I think will be good for his development. And then with a bench lineup, he can be that alpha, and even at times with Dame, he can try and be that alpha. Like, it's very messy. It's very, very messy, but like, I legitimately think that you'd have to start Dame, Scoot, Ant. And if Dame comes back, I know it sounds absurd. If Dame comes back next year, it's going to be absurd. It's going to be a mess. Like, the team is not going to contend.
We were talking about this last stream about, without Dame, how it's awkward with Scoot, Ant, and Sharp. Now you add another guard.
I mean, but here's my point, Eric. For all the people, okay, that say that, that's all Cronin could do, he was trying to do what was best for the team to win with Dame, and that was his best option. How the hell is this the best option? Like this rotation is such a mess. Like, okay, are we gonna take the guy we drafted at 23rd and valued because he's NBA ready? Are we just like gonna play him over, Nas and Jabari Walker? Maybe, but what? So we can play Moses Brown as the backup center? That's our win? That's our win now guy, is Moses Brown, Eric. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, it might be a better thing for them to try and win to just say, screw it, let's go super small. And have some crap like this. Mm-hmm. They're going to have weaknesses, but at least they can probably run. I don't know how that works with Dame, because he's never really played in a run and gun offense, but the other guys, maybe they could run, at least with the bench unit. And maybe they're a top 3 offense. I wouldn't rule that out with this specific group. It's just, how was this a cohesive answer to going into the offseason saying we want to build a winner around Dame? Because this is what they were going to end up with, regardless of if Dame requested a trade or not. They didn't do anything. So that's the thing, is a lot of people make that argument. I was just looking at this rotation today, like, This is the best I can come up with, in my opinion, because I think you got to start Dame, Scoot, and you got Grant, who you paid a whole bag to, and you still got Yusuf Nurkic on the team.
Yeah, I think as if we're trying to make this work, I think Scoot would have to come off the bench. So
I ain't doing it.
You got Dame, Ant, and Scoot all playing 32 minutes. You got Thibault can start at the 3, play about 20 minutes, and Sharp can be the backup 3, playing about 28 minutes a game or whatever. Or maybe that's closer to 50-50, depending on how they play. You got Grant playing, 32 minutes at the 4, and then you got Nurk and I don't know, Grant backup center. Yeah, I don't know, man.
What's the difference? If Scoot and Dame are playing 32 minutes apiece, that means 16 of Scoot's minutes are going to come with Dame and 16 are going to come without. What's the difference of if he's in the starting lineup or not? The only difference for me is I think it's a good precedent to start the guy and play him against starters more compared to a bench. He's still going to play against the bench, but I don't want to set the precedent that, oh yeah, we didn't, we drafted this guy at 3. We're not going to start him because we have this mess with Damian Lillard that we're trying to see out. I just want to, if Dame's going to play, I also want to start Scoot. Just start those two together and just see what it looks like.
The precedent is if you play them each 32 minutes, they all their minutes are at guard. Whereas if you start all 3, then you're playing one of them at small forward for part of the time.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know.
Honestly, what is wrong with that?
Well, if
we're trying to win games and win a championship, obviously there's something wrong with that, but
yeah, because I think, I don't want this, so I'm arguing something I don't believe in, but I think Scoot being the backup, just getting more time at the 1 than he would if you spread him out more like that. So
Scoot's going to play at the 1 when Dame's not in the game, regardless of if Scoot starts or not. Dame's going to play at the 2 when he plays next to Dame. You can sort out basically the same amount of time at the 1 and the 2 for Scoot, depending on if he, irregardless of if he starts or comes off the bench. I just want to start him.
Well, here's the problem for me. We talked about this all last season, and it's been an issue for years. We have no, dependable vet depth at the 4-5. So there's guys that could theoretically step up, but we've been saying that about guys for years, and it never really works out well. So where are we gonna, we almost have to do what you're saying because we don't have the depth at the 4. It's just so ridiculous that we're talking about Chris Murray in your scenario as a backup center. What are we doing? Why do we not acquire 4 or 5 depth?
And that's a big part of my point is if we improve the front court depth, right? Where it was something like, okay, well, if you fully optimize the lineup, it's a team that's going to be better than last year. Then you'd be having the conversation okay, well, maybe we should fully optimize the lineup because maybe that team's good enough. The problem is Cronin did literally nothing to address the biggest weaknesses on this team. If anything, they might have gotten worse. He did absolutely nothing. So we're at a point where it's we're already going to be small regardless. If we're talking about trying to optimize a lineup, the roster is not optimized to have an optimal lineup. And that's kind of where I'm at. If Dame plays, you just say screw it and you go super small. And here's the thing, they're going to be on awful defense anyway. Even if they start Thibault at the 3, Thibault started with Dame, with Ant, with Grant, with Nurk for a bit last year. The defense wasn't really any better at all. The defense was still very, very bad. So even if you start Thibault at the 3, the defense is still going to be really, really bad. I don't see a way where the defense is not really, really, really bad. The only way the defense is not really, really bad is if Scoot comes in as just some phenomenal defender. But then, okay, you start him next to Dame. You know what I mean? Basically, what I'm trying to say is the defense is going to suck, so who cares if Ant's at the 3? Who cares if it's Dame? I'm honestly at the point where I wouldn't mind just saying screw it and playing, if Dame plays, Dame, Scoot, Ant, Sharp, Grant.
In my opinion, and this is going to be their opinion too, we wouldn't have matched Thibault if we're playing him 10 minutes a game.
I had Thibault at 18. Actually, I had Thibault at 22. I forgot to give him more minutes. Yeah, if I'll pull it back up on the screen.
Did you have him playing 4?
I had him playing some. It was just easier to like break down the minutes with like him at the 2, but you could say Shapes at the 2 and all Thibault's minutes were at the 3. But I had 18, but I left 4 minutes on the table at small forward. So, like basically this gives Dame 34 minutes. This gives Scoot Dame and Ant play 34 minutes. Scoot plays 32. Sharp plays 30. Thibault plays 22. All at point guard, shooting guard, small forward. So,
according to Woo, we're sleeping on Moses Brown.
Woo, I am not gonna have another season arguing over some extremely mediocre backup center being good.
What? Gonna be great?
I'm not doing this again, man. This season is gonna be different, for better or worse, okay? And that's one of the things. I'm not gonna sit here and argue constantly that Moses Brown is not a good backup center. Maybe he will be. Maybe I'll be wrong. But I was begging Drew Eubanks to prove me wrong all year last year, and he never did. So, I mean, Cantor, it was... Didn't like Cantor playing next to Melo. Didn't like Eubanks. Don't like Moses Brown. I mean, this team just has never really put together a good backup front court for this team. They just haven't.
For those thinking Brown will be good and is capable of being the backup 5, what part of his career leads you to believe that? I mean, he's put up some decent numbers on tanking teams, but has he gotten minutes on a good team ever?
And why does he keep bouncing around when he can be had at minimum contracts? Why did he not get signed until August? Like, he's still super young. He's like 24, 25. Like, he's not a skilled center. He's not going to be much more than he is right now. Like, what he does well will be what he does well, and it's rebound the ball and be tall.
Yeah.
Which is fine. He's making a living in the NBA, like, living the dream, Great for him.
DJ Vegas says, I don't think he's capable, but we got no other legit backup 5. Yeah, but that's our problem. Like,
that's the point.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the conversation is that why do we not have any other options? Like, what the heck is Joe Cronin doing?
Yeah, he's sitting here saying our whole goal is to build around Dame, and, like, they might keep Dame and play him and blah, 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 blah. That's part of the reason why you should not be buying what Joe Cronin pitches, because not only the whole Dame saga, I think he's lied at various points in it, but it's not just about trading the 3rd pick. It's about literally everything else. He hasn't done anything. The most guaranteed money was he gave a partial guarantee to Moses Brown. That's the most guaranteed money he's given to a free agent that wasn't already his own. Because, of course, he resigned Thibault, resigned Grant. But you're talking about taking this team from, like, they tanked to the 3rd pick to, we're trying to win around Dame. We're going to be the youngest team in the league, though, despite saying we need more vets. We had a a big problem. We don't have enough frontcourt depth, and we're just going to double down on that again. Like, this is not a serious roster.
Yeah.
So at that point, like, even if Dame is still in Portland, you can't realistically have the goal of, like, making noise next year, in my opinion. Maybe miracles happen. I would love to see a miracle. That'd be fun, you know what I mean? But at this point, like, realistically speaking, it's about development. So that's why you start Scoot. That's why you start Ant, because I think Ant has a chance to break out into, like, a true all-star caliber player. And even if you don't think he's, like, the long-term guy, you think the long-term solution is a Scoot and Sharp backcourt with some defensive forwards or whatever, even if Ant isn't a long-term solution, him breaking out into that all-star caliber player will only give him more trade value. Will only be a good thing for the team long-term, regardless of if they keep him or trade him.
Yep. Greg Mock says he's still young. He can make a leap. They don't always click early in their
What's
careers.
he going to do to make a leap, though? That's my question. Like, what skill is he going to make a leap in that's going to make his overall game take a leap?
This isn't fair because he was a rookie on a 2A, but I have flashbacks of, like, his first actual rotational minutes when we had some injuries his rookie year, and he comes in and throws like 2 straight inbounds passes right to the other team for lay-ins, like on back-to-back plays within like 30 seconds of him checking into the game. It's crazy.
You know what the Hazonia clips made me remember? It just reminded me that, like, no matter who gets signed, if they have a chance at a rotation spot, and I don't blame fans for this whatsoever, like, this isn't a shot at all. There's just people that are gonna, like, try and convince themselves, like, this guy will be fine, this guy can be fine, this guy can help us. It's optimism, I get it. But, I mean, how many guys have we done this with, and then they've just been straight ass?
Yeah, the only thing I will say about Moses Brown is he's long, and like he has length that we haven't had in a center position. So at least he's got like a good standing reach, long wingspan and stuff.
AJ said he's been on 3 teams. AJ, he's been on 6: Portland, OKC, Dallas, Cleveland, the Clippers, and Brooklyn. So double that number.
In what, 4 years?
And it's fine. Here's the thing: like, I don't want to sit here like saying Moses Brown isn't a good NBA player. Like, I don't want to sit here putting down Moses Brown. It's just when we sit here and like try and convince ourselves, like, yeah, he could really help us with our front court depth. Like, then it's just not true. Like, then I have to. It's like, anyway.
What it is the exact same thing as Eubanks when we signed him last year. We promised him the backup center minutes, right? And instead of, we were talking, if they bring him back as the 3rd string center, that's fine. And that's the same with Moses Brown. It's like, if you want to sign him to a partially guaranteed contract to be the 3rd center, you can fill in minutes, and maybe if he develops, or, maybe Chauncey's system is good for him or something, like he wants to use him in the zone a certain way, and maybe that works for him. Then that's fine. But to be, like you said, you're only signing. And the other thing is too, like, I saw this in chat that they have to wait to see who they get back from the Dame trade or whatever. Well, it's like, okay, but you're not, like, even if you trade Dame and get a center back, like, so what, are you keeping Nurkic then, or what? Because, like, if you trade Nurkic too, then Moses is going to start at center on our team, or they're going to start someone that they get in the trade? But, like, there's really been no centers that have been talked about in any trade scenarios, outside of the waiting until December 15th for Orlando Robinson, like you said. I mean, who are we supposed to play? Are we getting like Sharp from Brooklyn or something, like a young center? Like, who's going to be our starting center? And that's, like, I think most fans, like most people know we're not like this, but most of them don't want to see Nurk play on the Blazers anymore, and so like, most likely I'm pretty sure they're going to include him as a way of getting value out of that trade, of getting off his contract. So, yeah, like, who's playing center, and like, why did you only sign that? So it makes no sense to give him the pass of, oh, well, he has to wait to see how the roster fills out. Portland has, I think, the 2nd most roster spots still available of any team in the league right now. They're just not filling them, and then they sign Exhibit 10 contracts, but they're all guards. Like, where are the big men?
Yeah, Ashton Higgins, he's gonna change. He's gonna change it all. Here's the thing: without the goal being winning, I don't care if Moses Brown starts and plays 30 minutes a game. Like, that's fine. I mean, he's not a starting caliber or a backup caliber center, in my opinion. Where, if we're trying to win games, I'm frustrated if he's the backup center, just like I was frustrated with Eubanks being the backup center last year. But on a team that is destined to probably tank at the end of the year, let him play center. Let him bring the ball up occasionally. Let him do a Luka Doncic impersonation and try some step-back threes like 3 times a game. Not too much, because we don't want to take away from the development of players. But if he shoots a step-back 3 and shoots it into the 10th row, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I care about development.
And, well, just want to say for the record, this is nothing against Moses. I actually liked him when he was here, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like we're just doing things and then people try to justify it because for some reason it always has to be excuses. And I'm not calling you out, Greg, but he says he's a stopgap until Baji or the guy in Spain are ready to play here. They seem to really want that guy. Well, that guy in Spain, assuming you're talking about Eddie Tavares, who's 31 years old. So we're waiting on him to be ready and when he's even older. Like, that makes no sense with our youth movement. So, like, why would we be waiting for him to play in a year or two?
I think Gray's realizing he's going to owe me some money.
No, this is Greg, not Gray.
Oh. Well, I think Gray. Hopefully Gray's realizing that too.
And then, in terms of Baji, I mean, they signed him to a two-way again. We saw him in Summer League. He's really raw. He's a long ways away from playing. I think he's a good player to have on a G League team and see if you can develop some things, get him in your system for another year and see if you can work with that. But, I mean, he's not going to be an NBA center in the next couple of years. So I just think it's weird to say that Moses is a stopgap for two guys who might not even play in the NBA, like get an actual 15-man spot.
You know what I realized? If Dame plays next year, it's going to drive me crazy when our guy, Gray Hughes, blames every single rookie mistake Scoot Henderson makes on Dame being there. I do. If that happens, I do not look forward to that. I'm just gonna say that right now. Scoot takes a bad shot. Oh, he learned that bad habit from Dame and all the deep threes Dame takes. That's what it'll be. Oh man. Like, dude, I.
You know,
anyway,
like I know Leonard Miller isn't exactly center size, but I think he could play center a little bit in the NBA. He's got, he's like 6'8" with a good wingspan and stuff. But he'd already played with Scoot, and you could see they already had like chemistry playing together. It's like, why didn't we just make a move to get him instead of like I'd be stoked right now if we had Leonard Miller, like, and we're talking about him possibly being the backup five,
Yeah, but instead we drafted a backup four who can really only kind of play the four, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like when are we ever going to value players that can play multiple positions? Because this is the problem. Look at this lineup. It's like, oh, all guards, and then you got like Grant kind of struggles with the 3, doesn't rebound well enough to play the 5. Nurkic is only a 5. Like, we don't even have a Zach Collins style big that can swing between the 4 and the 5. Like, we don't have big versatile wings that can like defend guards. It's just we don't have versatility. That was the one thing that Aminu and Harkless truly had that made those teams better. And I feel like that went under.
Harkless again.
Oh goodness, yeah, we got some Harkless haters apparently. That was the one thing that I think got underappreciated, and I've really realized the last couple of years is just how important it is to have those versatile defenders. Being able to put one of them on a star power forward, one of them on a star point guard, and then any pick and rolls between the two they can switch. Like, that was huge in the Clippers series with like Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, right? I mean, those guys truly made an impact. Thibault is our semi-versatile defender, but he's not.
He's more a 2-3, not a 4-5, though.
He's not as versatile as Aminu and Harkless. And when he guards point guards, too, he has a bad habit of, like, letting them beat him off the dribble just so he can try and back tap or, like, block them from behind. Like, Aminu and Harkless were willing to do the dirty work and weren't stock chasers, is what you should call them. Basically, stocks are steals plus blocks. There's guys in the league that chase those. Matisse Thybulle's a little bit. Yeah, Rocco's last year was bad. Matisse Thybulle's a little bit of a stock chaser. Okay, now that's not to say that getting a steal or a block is a bad thing, but when you chase them, you'll end up out of position a little bit more. If there's a lot of. That's the thing with Matisse Thybulle's defense. He's a good defender. There's just a couple things that irk me a little bit because there's just plays where it seems like he could easily stay in front of the guy he's guarding and he tries to back tap the ball and gets beat Occasionally it works, but not at a high enough rate where it's like, yeah, do that do that all the time. I just want solid guys, solid versatile guys that are willing to just sit down in a stance, slide their feet, and try their best to stay in front of the offensive players consistently. That's what I want. And maybe be able to switch a little bit. But we just have gone so far away from that. It's part of why our defense has been so bad.
Yeah, I think we nailed it on the head with Thibault. With he needs the, if he has the help defenders, like if you put him with like a Draymond on Golden State, I think he looks like defensive. He'd be back to being a defensive, all defensive team player. But when you have a terrible defense and you have bad rotations and you're a team that tries to hide the guards, and by doing so you get switched to where your guards are your rim protectors and your help defenders and your secondary rim protectors and all that, then a guy like Thibault he becomes a lot less impactful on defense, and he can't. I mean, a lot of good defenders gamble. That's not necessarily a negative thing. I know we kind of talk about it like it is a negative thing, but it's not necessarily a negative thing if you have a good team defense, where if you gamble and you get turnovers, it can sometimes make up for the times you gamble and miss, because you have guys who can rotate quick enough, and maybe you could rotate back into their spot quick enough. But yeah, the problem is you can't just throw a guy like that onto a bad defense and be like, "Here, help our defense," and he doesn't make the other guys help defense any better. So it's just kind of on an island out there, and if he gets beat, it's a problem. So yeah, like
that's why the defense wasn't any better when he started last year.
Exactly.
And that's statistically backed stuff. Like, that's what we're paying attention to. Like, is he going to have a positive impact on the defense? It was still the major struggle, and maybe Scoop can be better than Dame defensively. But here's the thing. And here's the thing that worries me too, Eric. When was the last time the Blazers had like a defensive core? Like, not necessarily where their best player is a good defensive player, but just like where they had solid defenders and it was like, okay, our defense has a bit of a core. I would say maybe like when they had Aminu and Harkless and Zach Collins, right? But like even, that team that made the 2019 Western Conference Finals, they're starting Enes Kanter center, Nurkic was a good defender that year. The Blazers, the best they looked was like right before Nurkic got hurt. The best that they've looked since Aldridge left, I think, was that run. Because Nurkic was protecting the rim really well. You had Aminu, you had Harkless, and then off the bench you had Zach Collins. Like, you had a core group of guys that you knew were just going to be solid and bring it defensively. Before that, when you had Robin Lopez, LaMarcus Aldridge was okay at the 4. That was because 4s weren't as skilled like in today's NBA struggles. But you had Wesley Matthews, Nick Batum, Robin Lopez. Like, those guys were a bit of a core to the defense. The problem is Stotts just struggled to scheme, Remember Bino Udrih? Remember playing drop scheme on Bino Udrih when all he wanted was mid-range shots in the playoffs? You remember that? Yeah. So, basically, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, the problem with some of those cores, though, is, yeah, it's good to have 2 or 3 good defenders, but once again, most of those teams had no bench, and they had none of those guys off the bench, short of, I guess, Zach in 2019 was okay. But, yeah, Evan Turner, I guess, was decent as well. But
he was okay. Against certain players,
yeah,
he was good. Against other players, he struggled. Like, he was hit or miss for me defensively. Rodney Hood, I didn't think was good. I think he was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think he played acceptable defense for us, but like we didn't have.
He had guys around him. If you put him on last year's team, like, I know he's like hurt now, but like if you took that year's version of Rodney Hood and put him on last year's team, we're saying he's a bad defender.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So it would have been nice to have him shoot 49% from 3, though.
Yeah. Here's my worry, Eric. Even though we're moving on from Dame, are we really approaching a potential rebuild in the next iteration of the Blazers where we are building a defensive core to a roster? Because it's Scoot, Ant, Sharp.
Repair.
I mean, at some point, in order for this rebuild to be successful, they're going to need to truly, truly address the defense. And if Scoot, Sharp, Ant don't develop enough defensively, that's where it goes back to the conversation that we had on a prior stream, I think it was last stream, where like you might have to choose between Sharp and Ant. Just because you need more defensive pieces.
Well, this doesn't help us this year, but going back to a conversation from last stream. So tomorrow night, or some of you, it's already Friday, but 6 p.m. Pacific time on NBA TV is the second game of Perth versus the G League Ignite. And Perth has Alex Sarr, the younger brother of Olivier Sarr, who was, on our team through training camp last year. That guy looks like he's pretty capable, big defender. So there are maybe some guys in the next couple drafts that could help us in that regard.
Yeah. And we'll talk about the draft. Yeah, there's some guys that, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to find guys that are good enough offensively that can play some freaking defense.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Yeah, Gray, I'm telling you not to call out other people's fandom, okay? Don't. Rooting for a 40-win season does not make you a better Blazer fan. Rooting for more mediocrity does not make you more of a Blazer fan than somebody who wants to struggle now so that they can have a brighter future and maybe see a freaking championship, okay? Because nobody here is watching the stream, like, talking about the Blazers like this, unless they're probably Blazer fans, or maybe Heat fans. Sure, you got fans of other teams, but all of us who say we're fans of the Blazers and are in the stream, dude, it's 11:23 Pacific time on September 7th. We're here in a stream. We got 192 viewers. This community is diehard Blazer fans, bro. You're a Blazer fan too, okay? If you needed me to say it. You are a Blazers fan. Yes. We disagree, but you are obviously a Blazer fan. You're in here too. We're all in here. Don't call out people's fandom, bro.
Not a Dave fan. Just kidding.
Like, it's just silly. Like, I hate that. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, man. If you disagree with me, you're not as much of a fan as me. I'm a better fan than you. Cool. So, anyway. Yeah, we got Alex Wolf. He's a Cavs fan. He's a Blazers Uprise fan. So, anyway. Just frustrates me, man. Like, just... I'm not... Here's the thing. All the people that love Joe Cronin, I'm not saying they're not Blazer fans. They obviously are Blazer fans. They love themselves some Joe Cronin. I think you have to be a Blazer fan to love yourself some Joe Cronin. Anyway. You said, aren't most people here hoping the Blazers win 40 plus? If not, you aren't really Blazers fans. That's exactly what you said word for word. Don't sit here and say, that's not what I said. I said I think most people want the Blazers to win 40 games.
How many times do I have people say stuff like that and then say that's not what they said? Or
yeah, I literally read you word for word, bar for bar. All right? Come on.
Yeah, what Tori is saying is, if that's what makes you enjoy the Blazers, them winning 40 games and being in the race for the play-in, that's great. It doesn't mean that someone who wants them to lose every game this season isn't a Blazer fan because they think that helps them more long-term. Or, yeah, it's just, that doesn't, yeah, I don't know.
I didn't say it the way you rephrased it. I just read your back-to-back comments. If that's not how you meant it, you should work on how you phrase things. Anyway. Word for word, bruh. Yeah.
Well,
Soulja Boy meme. Come on.
I mean, it's like the Dame's nothing but iso ball. He never passes. I never said I didn't like Dame. Like same kind of vibes there.
Just all over the place, man. Just chill. Anyway. Yeah, basically to sum up this conversation, like if Dame stays and plays, I'll be mad if Scoot's not starting. Because at that point, if you're not going to start him and prioritize his development from the get-go, why didn't you overpay by trading the third pick? If you valued Scoot enough, we're not willing to overpay to put a team around Dame, then why wouldn't you just start him? Obviously, they value him more than maybe their greatest player in franchise history right now, so...
See, this goes back to something I've been saying since we drafted Scoot Henderson, and that is, I don't really care if we take a little less than we value than what other, like, Utah got for Donovan Mitchell last year, because, I mean, say what you want about Lauri Markkanen, but no one thought he was going to be an all-star when that trade went down, or that season, you know, would break out and be one of the best players in the league. So, like, we already have those players, but Utah didn't have those players last year. Like, they were building draft picks for the future and stuff. They didn't have, that was like the one thing everyone said about Utah, even when they started out well, it's like they don't have that young star to build around, right? Yeah. And we have that. We might have two young stars that could do that. And that's why I keep saying just rip the Band-Aid off and make the trade, because the more this lingers, I just think, like, you're going to be mad that Scoot's not starting or whatever. Like stuff that's completely avoidable. If we just trade him, get the most you can get, you already have your star that you're building around. You don't have to set up a package to, like, OKC to hopefully get that guy in the future and get lucky on an SGA developing or whatever. Just make the trade and focus on Scoot and do everything possible for the next decade of maximizing that guy's championship window. And if you were going to make the move to choose Scoot over Dame, you go all in on it, and that's what I've been saying. Own it, go for it, and build around it. And to me, you're not a good GM if you, one, didn't plan for this scenario and think about the lack of offers that teams made, because the two of us knuckleheads months before this went down could show everyone that there's not going to be a good offer. And I'm still telling you guys there's not any offers for Dame outside the Miami offer. So, like, it's dumb to me that we're still talking about this and don't just want to move on and do what's best for the franchise. And that is to focus on trying to make this rebuild work. And the longer it drags on, the more I feel like it's just more incompetence by the front office.
I can't with chat, man. I just don't know how a true Blazer fan could want to lose for a full year. If you don't understand, then Gray, how do you not understand? The last 2 years, we've legitimately, as an organization, tried to lose games. At the end of the season, the last 2 years, we were sitting there saying, man, I wish we hadn't won as many games as we did earlier in the season. Because the organization wanted as many losses as possible. The organization itself wanted that. This is literally what they chose. So wanting what the organization is choosing to do to work out for the better long term, how does that mean you're not a true Blazer fan? Because that's where we were at. So what? Stop questioning fanhood. It's just dumb. I'm tired of that. It's silly. Don't question fandom, because at this point, I'm going to the season. I'm not rooting for 40 wins. I'm rooting for the development of our young players. And you literally said that I'm not a Blazer fan for it. And don't gaslight me and try to say I phrased it slightly different and meant something else.
So would the Spurs be better off if they would have won 40 games last year? And
apparently.
And been a playing team?
They should have had the 9th pick like the Jazz, you know?
Yeah.
You know, because the Jazz, they look good at the start of the season, right? So they didn't get Wemby. Good for them. They get Taylor Hendricks might be good, but You know, I'm sure the Spurs are much happier with Victor Wembanyama on their team.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The only reason we have Scoot is because we were really good at losing games. You love Scoot. Like, how are we not putting 2 and 2 together?
Well,
we lost on purpose and got Scoot, so that we can move on from Dame. It's what you wanted, Gray.
Like DJ Vega brings up, though, like, I still don't think the Blazers think. I think they're thinking more like Gray right now, which is weird. Like,
they're not acting like it. They're not acting like they're trying to win games because they're not addressing any weaknesses.
They don't think they have. I don't know. Moses Brown.
I mean, they're just ridiculously awful. Like Moses Brown. I mean, I'll give him this. He's a better rebounder than Eubanks.
It's true.
You know, so fixed our weaknesses, guys. We got Moses Brown's rebounding. We're ready to go. We got smaller, but we got Moses Brown, and he's 7'2" on the roster. So, you know, we were talking about wanting people taller than me. He's almost a whole foot taller than me, Eric. Should have convinced Zach Edey to enter the draft and promised him we would draft him at 23. How is winning 40 games a good thing, though? That's my question. How is winning 40 games a good thing?
I mean, would you say 2016 was a bad season?
I mean, it probably would have been better to suck for a couple years. We would have had more around Dame. Like, I wasn't sitting there complaining, you know, it was hyped. We made the second round, but
yeah.
I mean, at this point, like, it's rebuilding is a process. They're entering a rebuild. Like,
I think the whole point, though, is that if it's okay for Gray to think that, but it's also okay for those of us that want them to lose every game this year and the year after to not do that. But
yeah, I mean, I'll ask the question, like, what is the good long term from winning 40 games this year? I think that's a very legitimate question. I'm not going to sit here and say you're not a fan because you don't want us to have top prospects so we can win a championship later. I want top prospects. I want Cooper Flagg in 2025, you know? Like, I'm just going to enjoy here's the thing, guys. Yes, it's negative, but only if you look at it that way. I shouldn't even call it negative. Hold on. I shouldn't even call it negative because I'm rooting for the development of our young players and I want the team to win a championship long term. What I think is the best route for that might be different. That might be losing this year. I'm not going to sit here mad after games if Scoot goes off. You know what I mean? I'll be happy that Scoot goes off. I'll be happy our young guys go off. I know I've said this before, but I want to reiterate it before anybody gets the wrong picture in their head. So I'm rooting for the development of our young guys, and I'm rooting for a championship in the future. And obviously getting back-to-back number 1 picks the next 2 years would make our odds of winning a championship in the future much, much greater. So,
well, I mean, to me, there's 2 different types of win 40 games and contend for the playoffs at like up until late in the season or maybe make the play-in. The first is because you played like Thibault and Grant and Nurk like 35 minutes a game and you played, you know, Sharp's only getting 20 minutes a game and you're, you know, Anthony is ball dominant more than Scoot all year. This is assuming Dame's not even there. So like there's that iteration of it where they're playing their veterans for no reason and prioritizing that over development, and they just happen to be just good enough to get there. But there's also the other 40 wins, which is why I brought up 2016, where your young guys, in that case Dame and CJ, in this case it could be any combination of Scoot and Sharp, are just so freaking good, and it looks like they're stars and they're ready to be good team right away if you make the right moves. And I know that doesn't make our path to getting better easier, because obviously if we have the top pick in the next couple drafts. That's obviously the easiest way, and that's the process or what OKC tried to do. But if we have at least two of those three young guards become stars that are capable of leading a team in a tough Western Conference to 40 plus wins very early in their career, then I think there is some positives to look from that. It's not like they have to be stuck in mediocre, but it just goes back to then what do we do to follow that up? We overpay for Evan Turner and it uses up all our cap space. We re-sign a bunch of mediocre players. I'd kind of say that similar to what we did with Thibault this year, and like the Mo Harkless deal and stuff. And so, yeah, I don't know. Ultimately, I don't think they can be that good to win 40 games this year, even if they do show a lot of promise. But I mean, I do see the point where it could be super exciting, and we could be talking about how this is not going to be a very long rebuild if that happens.
Yeah. And it's not like we should, from the start of the season, just say, let's tank for the millionth time. That's why I've said I prioritize the development of our players. If they develop really well, it's going to result in more wins. I want them to develop as well as possible. That's the priority. It's not just going out and doing whatever to win every game. And that's what I'll do in the chat poll. What's the priority? Winning games or development?
DJ Vega said OKC didn't take that many years, though. They tried winning the first year after trading Russ, and they tried winning last year. They absolutely did not try to win the first year after trading Russ. They just happened to get Chris Paul, who was really good that year, and
they thought he'd be a washed vet helping their young guys.
Right. Yeah, they actually Houston paid OKC to take Chris Paul and get Russell Westbrook. They still owe them picks for that trade. So they just wanted the picks from that swap and were willing to eat the contract. And they played Chris Paul thinking they could maybe do what they did with several veterans and recoup some value for him. And then if they traded him for a first or something, that's great. But yeah, so yeah. But they
bored on a 5-minute timeout. Go on.
What did he say?
Lillard to the Celtics, shams bomb at 11:39.
Oh man,
Pacific. So
fake
no favoritism even for my guy Borna. Go on.
Yeah. But yeah. So DJ Vegas is not trying to win anything important, but they didn't tank. Yeah, but like, if you ask Presti going into that season, would you want to tank this year? Truthfully, he would have said yes.
He operated like a rebuilding team.
Yeah. They just happened to be good. And that's the same thing that happened to the Blazers in 2016 because Neal had traded for a Flalo the year before, and he had lottery protected it for 2 years because if Aldridge left, he knew that team would be bad or should have been bad, and then that pick would have turned into second. So he gave himself 2 years. So when Neal made that trade, he wasn't even thinking that we were going to owe Denver a first-round pick because he thought the next 2 years would be bad. So, yeah, I don't. It's not necessarily a bad thing if they exceed expectations, but yeah, I don't know. Like the poll question is, to me, like, you can have both, I guess, but I don't see how choosing development doesn't mean you want them to lose every game either. It's just that they can win games still. You just don't. That shouldn't be the number one thing.
I'll just say I don't care about the result.
Yeah.
Win or loss, I don't care about the result. Because I care about development, not the result of individual games. And I think at the end of the season, we're going to be rooting for the team to lose because they're going to be tanking. So, that's, I understand it's tough. We've been through 2 years of tanking. I know, but, if we successfully tank the next 2 years, we'll be so excited in 2025. You guys realize that, right? Like if we're sitting here with Cooper Flag, you know, and whoever we draft this upcoming season, you know how hyped we're gonna be. You know how good we're gonna be, like long term.
Or if we're
really
sitting here with
Flag.
Wembanyama right now.
Or if we're sitting here with Wemby and this Dame thing isn't even drama, like yeah, it's just what it is. It's just what it is. Shout out to, we got Dono from our guy Colonel Pancakes, $10 dono. Thank you, Pancakes. Says, I'm just gonna live in my fanboy false reality of Lillard and Scoot killing it with the background "Run the City" by Rihanna playing in the background. Which is a great song, by the way. Great song. I love that you chose that song because that was, high school. That was one of my go-to songs before I played basketball games. Says, at the same time, competing for a championship, Dame and Scoot together. I mean, yeah, sure, if we could compete for a championship with those two, that would be absolutely amazing. I wish. Because if that was the case, then Dame wouldn't want to trade. Because he just wants to compete for a championship, and he knows that they aren't.
Well, okay. It's weird seeing people who are hyped about Scoot talk about how they never want to tank and don't like tanking, because we don't have Scoot if we go for the playoffs last year. Isn't that the whole point of tanking, right?
Yep.
Like, no one below us, we had the 5th best odds, no one below us moved up. So we would have been, if we had not lost most of the end of the season, we would have been stuck in our position, whether that was 6 through 14 or whatever. We would have been stuck there, and we would have gotten a much worse player, right? So we're talking about having, or still maybe rebuilding, or maybe then we for some reason try to keep Dame happy. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Like, you can't like Scoot, but also like be vehemently against tanking. Like, it doesn't.
It's what got us Scoot.
It doesn't make sense. Or Sharp too, like.
It is what it is. Like, you tank so that you can be good. And it's like, I hate tanking. Well, you like being good, right? Yeah. Would love to be a contender. So, as much as tanking sucks, there's a purpose. If we were tanking without a first-round pick, it would be the most miserable thing that I can think of in sports, okay? But there's a purpose. We sit up here doing 2-hour post-game shows in the middle of tanking years twice in a row. Trust me. For us, as much as anyone, where it's like, okay, Eric, well, I mean, I didn't watch the game because I was going to root for them to lose, but let's do a 2-hour post-game show just to hang out with the community, right? Trust me, it sucks for us. It sucks for us. Like, but it's, as Eric Olson says, it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice to the basketball gods. Yeah, it's a sacrifice. If we tanking at Cooper Flag, we're going to be a contender. Like, I want Cooper Flag with Scoot. You guys know how much I hate when guys, like, have no problem when their team's down and, like, don't have a competitive edge and just seems to be okay with, like, mediocrity and that sort of stuff. Smiling on the bench when they're down 20. I want Scoot Henderson with Cooper Flag. Part of the reason, obviously, is because those guys are super talented, but part of the reason is because both those guys have a freaking edge to them. Cooper Flag is an asshole on the court. I want to root for that guy. If he's on a different team, you guys probably won't stand him. Yeah. Probably hate him. That's the type of guy you love to have on your team, hate to have on another team. I want guys like that, okay? Because I feel like we haven't really had guys like that. I want the asshole. I want Cooper Flag talking all his trash, because he's going to be a star, in my opinion. Scoot has that edge to him too. Has that energy. I want to see that play off each other together. That would be fun. That's what I want. So, we're going to have to lose or get extremely, extremely lucky in the lottery to get Cooper Flag. So, we lose games to get Cooper Flag next season? Like, that's the thing. You go into the season where it's like, it's fine if we lose. That's kind of nice. Because every season that I've had this channel, I've gone into it like, we need to win games, we need to win games, we need to build around Dame, we need to do this, we need to do that, and then they don't do it, and it's frustrating as hell. So going into the season where it's like, it doesn't really matter, let's develop the young players, enjoy them, have some fun, is so refreshing and so nice for me. It's gonna be fun to do the channel. Yeah. It might be more fun than ever doing the channel.
And people get so caught up in, well, we might not get the first pick, or what happens if we don't get the first pick. Okay, like, people's whole argument about the Miami package is that those picks, somehow we know 5 to 7 years from now, when Pat Riley's in his mid-80s and Dame and Jimmy Butler are in their late 30s, we know that Miami they're always good, so those picks will never be anything. Well, what do you think the perception on, if we trade Dame, of our picks in the future will be? And if we're bad, it doesn't matter if we have the first pick or not. Those picks are valuable. Don't listen to Joe. I can't trade the third pick for anything this summer. But like, trade deadline this year, teams are going to think we're still tanking, right? If we trade Dame. So, like, our picks, like, nationally throughout most teams, most GMs, they'll be like, oh, Miami 2024 first, that's obviously horrible, but a Portland 2024 first, that's like gold right now, right? Like, teams are going to be like, oh, I'd risk trading someone good for their unprotected pick this year or whatever. So it's not just whether you win a lottery or whatever, and there's good players. Like, we got Scoot at 3. We didn't have to win the lottery to get him. So, and I mean, look at how many good players there were in the draft last year. Like, multiple guys you could make a case that are going to be really good and stuff. So,
even in a weak draft like this year, Sar looked good last night.
Yeah.
Or what was it? Last night, 2 nights ago, whatever. Sar looked good.
Yeah.
Hit a couple threes, protected the rim, moved well.
Yep. And, I mean, the Ignite guys all looked really, really solid, too. Holland looks really good.
I'm starting to see why. I'm starting to see why people are high on Holland. I don't barely watch them and be like, I don't really get it. Okay, I'm starting to get it.
Once again, that they've been replaying that game on NBA TV, and they're also a new one tonight. So watch that if you're at all interested in prospects, because there's like 5 or 6 potential draft prospects on the Ignite team, and then you got Sar on the other team. So check that out. But yeah, I don't. I'm starting to wonder why people think it's always so cut and dry. It's like, tanking doesn't mean we're saying they have to purposely not win a game, like the Memphis Grizzly game last year, where Sharp's playing well and they sit him the last 10 minutes so they could lose at the end. Like, they can still play like they did when they beat Minnesota and stuff. That doesn't mean we don't want them to win any games at all and go 0-82. It's just there's nuance to these conversations.
Yep.
And
the stream has been fun tonight.
last year, so Eric Olson says we got 3 by barely tanking, and yeah, we didn't really tank that long last year.
We got lucky.
Yeah, I will,
because there's a lot of teams that had a decent amount of wins for being in the lottery.
Mm-hmm. And we're not. How many games did we win last year?
Like 33. We won
30,
more
30,
than
32 or 33. Yeah. It's like most years that's closer to probably 10 or 8 to 10 than 5. So you got to be careful. But I mean, we've talked about the West this year. There's not many teams outside of San Antonio and Houston, maybe. If those teams seem to be more win now mode now, then Houston for sure is trying to win this year for some reason. But that's a perfect example. It's like So would we want to sign players like Fred VanVleet right now, and like not a guard, but like a veteran like that to win this year? Like,
Yeah.
give him a big contract? Like, I don't know.
And here's the thing. I don't think there's going to be a huge difference between like 1 and 5 or 6 in this year's draft. So I'm not going to be sitting there like, oh, we gotta be the worst team in the league. Even if we're tanking, it's not going to be as hard of tanking as the last 2 years. Because before it was like Banchero, Jabari, or Chet. One of those 3 guys, And then last year, obviously, it was Wemby. And we didn't really have our sights set on Scoot, but we got Scoot.
Yeah.
This year, like, Buzelis, Holland, I think, I don't know. I haven't watched SAR enough, but being able to protect the rim and run like that and then shoot the 3 ball a little bit, like, he seems like a guy who will rise up into the top 10. That might be the perfect type of big for us,
Well, I mean, like, yeah, see, I've talked about this before, but when drafts don't have a hype guy, like next year has Cooper Flag, so everyone's saying, oh, the 2025 draft is going to be awesome. But no one really could name many players other than Flag, right? Yeah. Whereas, look at what year was it? 2018? Was that the Luka draft? The Ayton Luka draft?
Yeah, I think so.
So you got like Ayton Luka, Trae Young, Bridges, both Bridges, SGA. Like, no one really thought that draft was great, like even Luka and stuff. I mean, he falls to 3. So like, but there's like multiple really freaking good players in that draft. So like, yeah, and as Taylor Packer said, 2022 was supposed to be weak. But we just mentioned that there's a lot of players that were really good as rookies last year, and there were very few busts outside of like Johnny Davis and I mean, you're not a bust yet after 1 season, but players that didn't play well at all. Like almost every player in the first round, you could be like, wow, I could see something like him being a rotational player or whatever. So like to me, I think the draft next year is kind of shaping up to where it might not matter where you pick, so you might not need a first pick. I mean, if Ron Holland keeps playing and he's by far better than everyone else, and so it'd be cool to get that wing with size, with that speed and dribbling ability and stuff.
I haven't watched his defense. I've seen it's been like hyped up as he's a very versatile defender that can guard like 1 to 4. I mean, having a guy like that can be an offensive threat too would be very, very nice. Would make sense. Would be the start of building that defensive core.
Yeah. So to me, it's just, and now we have Mike Schmidt, so I think if you get a pick in the mid lottery, I still feel pretty confident. So I do think that next year in particular, I don't think it'll be like bad if we win like 35 games and end up with like the 6th best lottery odds. I think it'll still be okay.
Yeah. Which prospect is a Blazer next year? Chat, let me know.
Oh, man.
Eric, let me know. Never would have said gut feeling Scoot Henderson is going to be a Blazer. That would have sounded so absurd a year ago. Yeah. But gut feeling, chat.
I would have said you were so dumb.
Look at a draft board and the first word to speak to you, the first name to truly speak to you.
I think Alex Sarr is coming pretty high on my list.
See, is he gonna rise enough for us to take him with as bad as I think will be? Because he feels like a guy who's gonna end up.
Well, maybe a trade down a little bit. I think Schmidt's like
you expect Cronin to effectively trade down.
True. True.
I mean, I think Sarr can. I don't know. This is my too early, uneducated take, but given his tools that the little bit I've seen, because that was honestly the first time I've watched him. And here's the thing: I'm not gonna sit here and lie like, yeah, Alexandre Sarr. He's been on my radar for a while, and sit here and recite stuff that I can find online to try and sound smart. Like, I'll tell you guys if I don't know much about a prospect, but in the end, like, there's certain guys where you bet on tools, right? So being able to shoot the ball, being able to truly protect the rim, and being mobile, that's a good set of tools to bet on. So
Yep. We need a player like that so bad.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. Yeah, um I'm blanking on the guard's name. Collier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my new prediction. Collier. We're gonna get Collier.
Not Jacoby Walter.
No matter where we're picking, whether it's first or fourth or whatever, we're gonna get Collier somehow.
We take him first. Oh God, the rage, bro.
It's about accumulating talent, not fit, dude. Like,
oh God, dude.
We know we have 3 good guards, but you can't pass up on a talent like him. No matter what your needs are. I'll never draft for need.
You don't draft for need at the top of the draft, like.
No, I know.
Well, then,
I agree with that. I mean, it's just like.
Well, here's the thing. All right, if you want this dude so bad, you better trade Simons and trade Sharp and get something good back for them. Then like trade Sharp for a pick to draft a front court player that you also like. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing. Even if he was that ridiculous, like it still will come down to, all right, well, fix it somehow. You have to choose some of them. You literally, like, that's the thing. If there's a guard that he loves in the draft next year, he has to love them more than he loves one of the 3 guards on this team.
Or just do a better job of using free agency and trades to acquire the positions you do need. So when you draft all these freaking guards that you still have, like, you're not making up rotations that have Chris Murray playing backup center on your team like you had. You know what I mean? Like,
and Jeremy Grant at 4 rebounds a game as well.
But no, Collier, dude, he's not your average 19-year-old, Tori. He's like they won't have that problem if they draft him. He's built in a different way. So
he's built different. God. Stephon Castle, his name is Stefan, kind of.
Stephon or Cal?
Stephon Castle. It's going to be interesting to compare Klingon and Sar all year.
Yeah. I saw something that you were calling out someone who had Klingons too high.
They had him at 3. I don't like having him at 3.
Yeah. I wasn't as high on you as you were on him last year. He could grow on me, but yeah, I think he's like.
I'll just say being
later in the lottery, I'm fine with him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd take him top 7.
I mean, I just think he could be a true game changer as a center, and I feel like he's a safe pick as a true game changer. Which we always have the argument like, do you take that or the upside? In this year's draft, where I mean, it seems like there's not crazy upside beyond that, which as I said, I haven't looked at a number of these guys, but just based on what's being said about the draft class, back half of the top 10 is fine. Like 8, 9, 10 seems to be kind of his draft range right now. And there might be guys that rise above him, but I think he can be, Rudy Gobert. Maybe a little bit mobile. Like, he's a very smart defender, and 7'2" is his listed height. Very has long arms. Who knows what he is offensively? But seeing like Walker Kessler come in and become like one of the top rookies, I don't know. Maybe I have shied away from that archetype a little too much. Just a rim protecting big that, just a big rim protecting big without great skills.
Mm-hmm.
But I will always bet on the guy with a little bit more skill upside.
Yeah.
Like, I would take Lively over Klingon.
Right. Yeah, me too.
That's why Sar's intriguing
Lively
to me.
right now. How much different would we be thinking if Lively was like sitting there behind Nurk and we could trade Nurk and just make him our starting center, or if we tried to win, we'd still have a really good backup center.
That'd be great. That'd be great. So it's gonna be interesting to compare these guys. I just think at 3, like you're going too high for a guy that doesn't have a ton of skill upside. Like, I don't think Klingon will ever be a guy that's doing stuff off the dribble, or maybe he can become a guy that's shooting threes, but I have a tough time seeing him score more than 20 points per game in the NBA.
Gray's saying good night. You want to read his dono before he goes to bed?
Oh, Gray left a dono. I've been looking at draft board, so I haven't even been looking at chat. Shout out to my guy, Gray Hughes Investigates, with a $5 dono. Says, don't forget to tip Blazers Uprise for spending this much time with you all, even if we drive each other nuts. Like Thanksgiving dinner in here. Great way to put it, Gray. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Appreciate how supportive you are in terms of the donations and all that, and that is very well said. You are like an uncle that drives me nuts. And I mean that in a good way. So, appreciate your dono. Shout out to Pim with the $5 dono. Says, if the Blazers get a better record than the Rockets, I would consider a W. Consider a W. Yeah, that'd be good. Is that the goal? Be better than the Rockets?
Like, what does that mean, though? Like,
yeah, thank you, Pim, for the $5 dono.
So if the Rockets are the worst team in the league and we're second worst, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, it's even odds, so I guess, at least we're not the worst team in the league. And it would be funny to say that we're better than the team that paid a bag to Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. What are they doing? I don't understand. That's, okay. If we ever have an offseason like that in the middle of a rebuild, I might rage like never before. Okay, probably not. Could you imagine?
Still better than signing Evan Turner, probably.
Okay, wait. I am worried that next offseason is going to be like that.
Yeah, because we're going to get a bunch of expirings. So, I have seen some chat conversation about, well, Portland's not a good free agent market, or what's the free agency going to be like in the next few years. In my opinion, this new CBA is going to make it so there are going to be teams every year that get rid or have to get rid of decent players because they don't want to pay them. Whether that's a young player with is about to be a restricted free agent and they're worried about having to match a big contract, or it could be something as simple as what we heard rumors on earlier in the offseason, that the Clippers were potentially shopping like Norman Powell or whatever. But that's how you get, if you have cap space, you can maybe get an asset for taking on a player like that and then save another team money, but you add cheap rotation players. So that's the way you gotta look at it, is if you have your stars, you don't really need to go out and win free agency battles like Cronin tried to say. You just need to fill in and find players that fit your system and identify those players and actually sign somebody. But really, it's just a matter of using that cap space to trade for players that can fill a rotation and give you some depth. And that's just something that, I mean, going back several GMs now, we haven't seen a team be able to do here.
I'm looking at the 2024 free agency list. Are you ready to give like $30 million a year to Gordon Hayward just so that we don't end up with the number one pick the following year and lose out on Cooper Flagg? DeMar DeRozan. We finally get Dame's buddy DeMar after Dame's gone.
Yeah, can you imagine
Oh, wait, perfect name. Tobias Harris.
I mean, at least he's a forward.
I know. Like, you guys said you wanted a forward. We traded Jeremy Grant. We got a first-round pick back, and then we were able to replace him with Tobias Harris. We gave him a huge bag. And then we were like the fourth worst team instead of the worst team, and then we lose out on Cooper Flagg.
That's what I was going to say. We're stoked at the trade deadline because we actually made good moves and got some picks for Jeremy and Matisse, and it looked like we were embracing the rebuild because it wasn't going the way they thought. And then all of a sudden they just sign like a worse version of
We tr-
Jeremy, like for the same.
Yeah. And then we trade those picks for Dylan Brooks. And just say, here, Houston, you realized your mistake. Here, have some rebuilding assets, because that's the mode you're in. We're gonna take on Dylan Brooks.
Because Chelsea liked him like 2 years ago.
Dude, oh god, we better not. I don't want us to have cap space next year, because I could see this organization sitting there like, what can we do to make Blazer fans like us a little bit more? Dylan Brooks played at the University of Oregon.
All right, so I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry or Ben Simmons?
For what? A whole bag?
In the Dame trade.
Oh.
Because...
Can we cut Kyle Lowry?
Okay. You don't make this mistake that, a good portion of people are going to say, why would you want Kyle Lowry as a guard? Bleh. Like, okay, obviously I'm asking you this question because Kyle Lowry's an expiring contract. Ben Simmons has 2 years left, so you wouldn't have cap space next summer. I know you know that. I'm explaining it to chat.
To the person that's about to say that,
Because Lowry would give us a ton of flexibility next summer, like actual flexibility, not fake flexibility like Cronin tried to say when he traded CJ and stuff. But yeah.
Eric Olson just showed me the future. I was talking about earlier about arguing about whether players were good or not. I do not next year want to be arguing about Dylan Brooks. He said, hey, Brooks playing good for Canada right now. Maybe he matured. Maybe, man, but I am not going to bet on him. On him maturing.
Or maybe like a 6-game sample size isn't the greatest thing to judge someone.
Yeah, international basketball too. Yeah. He says I'm kidding. I know.
We know.
I just had visions of like, guys, we're not getting home court advantage this year. I know Scoot and Ant were good last year, but bringing in Dylan Brooks is not going to get us home court advantage. I mean, because I don't... If I was GM, I would want Kyle Lowry instead of Ben Simmons. With Joe Cronin as GM...
Yeah, see, that's... You have to make the distinction.
I think I'd rather have Ben Simmons than Kyle Lowry. Because I don't trust Joe Cronin to do smart rebuilding things with cap space. Like, I don't trust Lowry being an expiring contract to pay off.
What draft? So it'd be the 2020 draft. I'm just trying to think of someone in the 2020 draft that he could trade for at the trade deadline and then overpay like Thibault. Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna get a bunch of people yelling at me now. Thibault's not an overpay.
My food got here. That was a little quick. I sorted food. I didn't eat it all day. Shout out to Colonel Pancakes. See, Pancakes made me hungry. I'm gonna blame him. Colonel Pancakes with a $5 dono says, Kalel Ware. Thank you, Colonel Pancakes. Kalel Ware, I mean, that's a big man, so we're on the right track. And that's an Oregon Duck, so Blazer fans can be happy. Well, didn't he transfer?
Yeah, he went to...
Oh, no, Blazer fans would be pissed. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's on Indiana now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Indiana.
I'm interested to see him play this year. I thought he flashed some things, but I was... Like, I kind of had him and Lively in the same category the first few weeks of the season, and then Lively, like, just really grew on me, and Kalel's... He had some moments, but it wasn't like a blow you away type of thing or dominant type of thing. But he's still pretty young, so
we're gonna have to figure out like a little scouting segments. Maybe build it out as more of a segment, maybe with graphics or something this year. Like yeah, that's something to think about for me. Or you, or chat if they want to suggest things. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm already watching those games, scouting the G League teams. Nice to get them this early to get a look at some of those guys. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be a huge part of the season for me, is watching college basketball and stuff.
Yeah, Tyler James says Torrey would have liked him if he went to Gonzaga. I would know more about him, but I mean, there's Gonzaga guys I've been sour on. Like, I wasn't sitting here begging for Corey Kispert. You know, I love Corey Kispert, but I wasn't sitting here. Drew Timme is one of the most beloved Zags of all time. I was not sitting here like, we need Drew Timme. He can replace Nurk. We need size. We need a true low-post dynamo like Drew Timme. I wasn't saying that. I was saying I wouldn't draft him. I am not... Guys, I think for a sports fan, I am really good at not being biased. If anything, I might have a little bit of negative bias towards my teams. Because I've been beat down and still don't have a championship. Maybe the Mariners can change the deal. Maybe my Niners can... Our Niners can change it. But anyway. Anything else for the stream, Eric?
No, thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate it.
This was a really fun stream. I enjoyed it. You guys were popping off tonight. Good to see a lot of you in here, especially talking about something that we haven't really talked about. The possibility Dame returns. I mean, this is just a circus, but it's kind of fun to. I'm like tired of it, but also it gives us stuff to talk about. It's kind of fun to cover the chaos. And it's going to be fun next season going into it without, like, too much pressure to win games, honestly. And that's what our content's going to be. Hopefully fun, entertaining, community involved. And we'll have more than ever. So that's kind of how I'm going into next year, approaching things, you know. Just hopefully we're going to keep entertaining you guys, keep hanging out with you guys. We appreciate your support. We appreciate the sense of community that you guys bring to the channel. If you want to... be a bigger part of the community, you can join our Discord. We got a lot of people that talk there pretty regularly. Also follow us on Twitter, engage with us on Twitter. We appreciate that as well. Discord link should... Yeah, it is in the description. Let me know if it doesn't work. Keep me posted on that. And with that being said, that's a wrap. We'll catch you on Monday. I'm looking forward to watching football on Sunday, Eric.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun.
Sunday off. That's going to be nice.
Nice. Awesome.
Real quick, Taylor Packer, both Tori and I are high on Scoot. Yeah, we both think he'll be a starter eventually.
Yeah, he was number 2 on both of our boards. So, anyway, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your night. Have a good weekend. We'll catch you again on Monday. I actually might drop a video before Monday. We'll see. We'll see. I need to think of something, but I want to drop a video. It's been a minute, and Blazers Uprise. The main channel's just sitting there collecting dust, so I got to dust it off. Anyway, that's a wrap. We'll catch you later. And as always, until next time, peace out. Go Blazers.